It's working
Agents
again.
install
9.
a wire. The mob bosses are afraid they're being watched. The law office for bugs. If he finds a listening device, the
Teleporter is
FBI in
mine,
Philadelphia
bitch.
is closing
Let's
in on
keep it
mob
down.
conducting mob business in an
I want
attorney's
you to
office.
know, none of this is
Agents
personal.
place listening
It's
devices
just
in
the
the office.
zombie.
The staffer calls in a man to sweep for bugs.
I'll tear you
Agents
limb
watch
from
as the
limb.
super enters the building.
Oh my, lasers. How very sci-fi. I don't care for losers. That's what you are. Say hello to my new toys. Oh, what fun this will be.
Goliath armor integrity at 75%.
Fetch. I was the good guy once,
50%.
I think. Now you've gone and done it. Great. The rest of the gang is here. You know you can't win. I fucking hate the Atlas Corporation, but they make great shit.
But after a few tense minutes, the
What
private
was I
contractor
doing?
completes his
What was I
sweep
doing?
without finding anything.
Goliath armor
Face because they
Just
basically
breathe.
brought in an expert who
Let your
didn't
body
detect
do
anything.
what it needs to
So
do.
that was creating sort of a feeling of peace on their part.
I found
I
these
guess
off
our
the ship.
expectations for
Program them for
more
free.
ease to discuss further criminal activity.
Now, with microphones in the
Atlas
conference room of the
equipment is
lawyer's
so
private office,
particular
the
sometimes.
information begins to come in.
Oh look!
The
They all
FBI
got
learns
their
that John
invitations
Stanton is
after
having
all.
problems with a group of young
Goliath critical.
born and raised in South Philly. Their allegiance is still with Nicky Scarfo and the Mafia regime before Stanton took over. They are known as the Young Turks. As far as they're concerned, Philadelphia has always had been their church.
Angie, why now?
And the Young Turks deserve to be
Oh,
running a
hell,
crime
I'm pissed
family,
now.
not newcomer John
I
Stanton.
heard you like your exosuit. Try using it
Joy
now.
Merlino is
I
the
did.
boss of the Young Turks. Michael Changlini is the number 2 man.
Time
Joey
to
and Michael
spread
have
the
known each other
good
since grade
gospel
school.
of Oz.
FBI Special Agent Gary Langdon is the Coca's agent.
Oh, they love these things. You just set them up and they shoot it all by themselves.
Would come in and take over the Law family. Trying to organize a whole group. They were part of the
Oh, hell, that's a shocker.
charge. Informants tell the FBI that the Young Turks are not taking orders from
Got
John
these
Stanton.
babies off the Atlas ship. I've made some fun alterations.
They lagged about who they were and who they were aligned with. Bragged about how they were going to take the city.
Guess what? I
They
got
were
me a posse
legitimate
party.
successors to previous mob members under the Scarfo. They were going on to bookmakers,
You're all monsters.
drug dealers,
Allow me to show you.
and one share of the profits.
Wait, say hello to my new toys. Oh, what fun.
The Young Turks feel they're entitled to run the city and the Philadelphia Mafia.
Fido, go make them play dead. For real.
Aging John Stanford, the old world Sicilian boss, resents the ostentatious lifestyle of the Young Turks.
Shields deactivated.
Very, flamboyant. They go to the club,
Nice
yell
man,
around,
exactly what I was
go the way
going for.
around, yell out. Trade on the
Nice
side,
try,
connected
losers.
to the local Cosa Nostra family.
Go ahead,
Hey,
use your
in general,
accent.
call it
Jump. It'll be a hoot.
Which is not a good thing. Running the Cosa Nostra family.
You gotta hand it to those a-holes at Atlas. They make some top-notch stuff, yeah? Oh, look! They all got their invitations after all.
Shields deactivated.
The Young Turk boss, Joey Merlino, has a different idea of how a Cosa Nostra boss should live the life.
He was the kind of guy who felt that when he went into a restaurant, because of who he was, he shouldn't have to pay. This was easily adopted by his entourage, and they became a problem for everybody. There were fights, there were shootings, it's just not the way to run a Cosa Nostra family. Attracting all that attention to yourselves. The police begin to know then where you are and who you are, and it's just not a good thing.
John Stanford was particularly angered by the Young Turks' involvement in the sale of illegal narcotics.
That was the way of the future, the easy way to make money. Traditionally, the mob frowns upon having its members engage in drug dealing. Now, that's not to say that they don't do it. They get around that by having an associate or something deal drugs, and then they'll tax that individual and take a percentage of it. But Stanford, he thought drugs were a dirty business and it draws a lot of attention, again, to the family. And he didn't want to do that. And these guys were just defying him and doing it.
They keep coming!
Once we heard that there was friction developing, we were looking to see how Stanford was going to handle it. And was he going to be aggressive and, take extreme measures? Or was he going to try and mollify these people and quiet them down and get them under his
But Joey Merlino isn't going under anyone's wing. The Young Turks strike back at Stanford. 73-year-old Joseph Gatone is one of
Nice
Mafia
one.
boss
I'll
John
give you that.
Stanford's most
But
loyal
I'm still
employees.
here.
Gatone is a bookmaker, a collector of street taxes.
This looks
4
promising.
gunshots shatter the daily routine of Joseph Gatone. The old man's blood marks the beginning of a deadly civil war. The FBI, the Philadelphia Organized Crime Task Force, surveil top bosses of the Philadelphia Mafia. friction between feuding factions of the crime family increase, and a bloody civil war breaks out. Philadelphia police officers arrive at the scene of the shooting.
Like that!
The victim's keys are still in the ignition, and the engine is still running. 2 bullets penetrated the victim's neck. A third bullet entered his temple. A fourth grazed the bridge of his nose and shattered the passenger side window. When Agent Marr arrives on the scene, police have already checked the registration of the car, but they don't yet know who the victim is. Agent Marr recognizes the victim from previous investigations. Gatone is a longtime member of the Philadelphia crime family, currently under the leadership of John Stanfa.
You do not have permission to access this
Several of Gatone's neighbors witnessed the shooting, but no one can identify the lone hooded gunman.
That's trying to eat me, asshole!
Special Agent Jim Moss suspects Joey Moline's young church behind the killing.
So good.
Where he was killed, the manner in which he was killed, indicates to me that the Human faction was sending a message to Stanford and his people. Here is the one.
Agents monitor their wiretaps. But no one is talking about the murder. Special Agent Fred Walls.
Initially, at the time that this bookmaker was murdered, we weren't sure who was involved. There was nothing definitive on the wire after the bookmaker was murdered. There was a reference to the fact, but nothing that would indicate us stand how to believe someone found it was something happening.
Investigators are certain the murder is mob-related, but they have no proof. When they speak to Stanford himself, he claims to know nothing. But Stanford strikes back. 5 weeks after the murder of John Stanford's bookie and tax collector, Michael Changlini, the Young Turks' #2 man, is coming home after a basketball game. 2 men, armed with shotguns, open fire. Somehow, his wife and 2 children were uninjured in the attack. Investigators recovered 12-gauge shotgun shells from the front yard and shotgun pellet trays in the living room and dining room. Despite the brazen attack on Changlini and his family, he won't cooperate with the detectives. He wasn't
They just don't talk along to us because they feel they're going to handle it themselves. Business. None of our business. So you're not going to get anything out of that.
The Young Turks' #2 boss isn't talking. But the FBI suspects the attack is payback for the murder of John Stanford's bookie.
The bookmaker was a murder, and the attempt on that we're going to see increase in violence that is going to
During this, the FBI petitioned the federal court to expand the eavesdropping. In the spring of 1992, they get the court order they needed. Agents placed bugs in 7 new locations, including lawyers' private offices, the law library, the television room, and the lunchroom. The new wires immediately start paying off. Early in May of 1992, FBI cameras catch Stanford arriving at the law office with his
Yeah. Give me that.
Changlini, brother of the Young Turks' second-in-command. Inside, John Stanford angrily announces that he knows the Young Turks are looking for him, and they want him dead.
All you got?
But Stanford doesn't want a war. He wants to make one last attempt at diplomacy. His first move is to make Joseph Changlini his new underboss.
I guess he thought, as a concession to them, he would be able to control them. There's a saying, keep your friends close, keep your enemies even closer. This was the way to keep an eye on them. But we fully anticipated that we were going to see an increase in violence. But we were surprised by what did happen.
Informants tell the FBI that Stanfa invites Joseph Cianglini's younger brother Michael and the young Turk boss Joey Merlino to a secret meeting. Here, Joey and Michael become made members of La Cosa Nostra.
That's where you place the family or anything else in your life. God, your own personal family, the mother, the father, the wife, the children. The family calls you to come before them.
Now, as made members of La Cosa Nostra, the two young Turks enjoy special privileges.
Benefits that come with that are using enough whatever they may be without fear of someone who is not a member. But the way they always decide who are members and the other person is not. Members cannot be killed unless the laws are right there. The member.
Gotta reload.
For John Stanfa, promoting the young Turks is his final act of diplomacy. The FBI and the Organized Crime Task Force will keep a vigilant watch to see if Stanfa's bold move stops the violence. But agents still need to collect more information about the crime family to shut them down for good.
Oh, baby! Ha!
They learned the law office is not the only place where Stanfa and his associates are congregating.
We found out that Stanfa had opened up about half of another business with a food distribution.
Hands off!
And surprisingly, Stanfa actually worked at this place every day. John P. Citizen would go to work and he actually lived there. See him out there sweeping, cooking and handling stuff. But it was also his family members there.
Reloading!
So the next step logically is
What? That's
to
it?
get a Title III bug installed by him so that we can listen to the conversations he's having with
Lock and
Is there a
load.
way
Need
you
more
can
moolah.
end
Once the microphone
that
is
after
installed
running in the
inside the
background?
Dynet,
Should be.
the FBI hears that an angry John Stanfa is still having problems with the young Turks. He requests a final sit-down with Joey Merlino. Joey Merlino and Michael Cianglini pay a visit to Stanfa. The gamblers are complaining that the young Turks are not honoring their bets. Merlino assures the boss to fix the problem and make good on the debts. The meeting ends amicably. Perhaps they come.
Gotta reload!
Early in the morning, FBI surveillance agents observed Joseph Cianglini with a witness opening up the Stanfa Dynet. It's almost exactly 1 year after his brother Michael was brutally gunned down in his home.
activities were documented, regular, got up in the morning and went to work.
But on this morning, Joseph Cianglini's routine takes a terrifying twist. Four men pull up with open fire on Cianglini and the waitress. He is planning a bloody war between the old and the new mafia of South Philadelphia. On March 2nd, 1993, in South Philly, underboss Joseph Cianglini and the waitress opened John Stanfa's diner. Shortly after 6:30 a.m., four gunmen launch an attack. Cianglini is gunned down. The surveillance agent alerts FBI HQ and calls 911 for an ambulance. The FBI agent on surveillance arrives on the scene. Joseph Cianglini has been shot repeatedly into head, neck, and chest. The waitress is unharmed. Cianglini has somehow managed to survive the deadly attack. Though severely wounded, he can talk.
You couldn't get a statement out of him, and even if he knew who did it, he wasn't going to implicate anybody. He was part of the mob, or Maritime Code of Silence, and they would take care of this on their own.
They had to know who they were. He saw them. Suspected that it was a group from the Young Turks. But he basically told us he didn't know.
Gotta keep it steady.
Hoping to identify the shooters, FBI agents review the surveillance tapes. But in the early morning darkness, the images are too dark to identify anyone.
Fuck off. Down your brain.
Identified.
Cover me! I gotta reload!
Go to the audio screen, there's shots. And then you hear someone yelling, move, move. And drive away. That's basically all we have. You couldn't say with any reasonable certainty who actually shot.
But agents are still surveilling the law.
Reloading!
Wiretaps recorded killing conversation between Stanford and a mob associate. John Stanford suspects Michael Cianglini was behind the attempt to kill his own brother Joseph at the restaurant. Yeah, Michael and Joe were
Like that!
John Stanford, there was only one choice. To eliminate Joey Marino, the young kids.
So, start to recruit someone's muscle. And send them out. Start stalking them. Kill Joe Marino.
Undercover FBI agents deliver a warning to Merlino and Michael Cianglini.
More power to me.
When we're aware of the fact that violence is going to occur or may occur, and we think we know who the violence is going to occur against, we have an obligation to go out and warn them.
John Stanford is sending hit teams into the streets with orders to gun down Merlino and Cianglini. The Young Turks shrug off the FBI warning. Even though they know their lives are in danger, they refuse to cooperate. The Young Turks should have listened to the FBI. The Stanford hit team tracks them down and opens fire in broad daylight. Michael Cianglini is shot in the heart and dies on the street. Joey Merlino is wounded. It is clear to the FBI that John Stanford
This is where my training pays off. Now this is the motherfucking year I need.
We believe that Stanford is responsible.
3 hours after the shooting, South Philadelphia police officers respond to a burning vehicle. The car matches the description of one seen by witnesses at the shooting. Police run a trace and learn that it was leased to a member of the Stanford crime family. That night, police questioned Phil Coletti and his wife. Details police reported the car stolen. Coletti says he's been home all day.
Want some more?
The FBI used the couple's alibi as skepticism. Coletti
Hey,
was the first
down.
suspect in the shooting murder of Michael Sanguini. Several days later, the FBI gets a lead on the second shooter. The guy calls on Colorado suspicion. FBI agents find John Vesey at home. He too is an old member of the Stampa crime family. Agents ask Vesey what happened to his hand. He says he had an accident with his barbecue grill. His hand was burned when he spilled lighter fluid. Vesey insists the burn was an accident. He says he knows nothing about the murder of Michael J. Wilson and Joey Marino. But when investigators check out the grill, they discover it runs on propane, which conflicts with Vesey's story that he was using lighter fluid when he burned himself.
It aroused our suspicion and kind of pointed us toward Vesey, more so than anybody else.
The FBI suspects two members of the John Stanfa crime family in the murder of Michael Cianglini and the shooting of young Turk boss Joey Merlino. But before the FBI can bring the shooters to justice, Joey Merlino and the Young Turks try to get their own revenge. John Stanfa is riding in a 1976 Cadillac Seville. He's headed south on the Huntsville Expressway with his son Joseph, a trusted driver. A van pulls up next to the Cadillac. Two gunmen thrust 9mm machine pistols through portholes cut in the side of the van, and they open fire. A full-scale mafia civil war rages on the streets of Philadelphia. Violence explodes with a brazen one-hour attack on Sicilian mob boss John Stanfa. The gunfire misses John Stanfa, but his son Joseph is hit in the face. Stanfa's driver rams the van, forcing it off the highway.
What was really brazen about it was on a highway like that, random shots could have struck and hurt, even killed any innocent people who were on there.